brought her great joy. Last night, as the family and friends talked about Beth, we did a Zoom call, and there were tears shed and also many smiles and laughter. There is much to be grateful for, even in the shadow of this devastating loss. Talking about Beth was a reminder of my many trips to Israel and a verse from the second book of Samuel. Second book of Samuel, chapter 14, verse 14. We shall surely die and shall be as water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. And as we think of Beth and we eulogize Beth, what does this mean? As one drives down from Jerusalem into the Negev desert, your eye is caught in the most dramatic way by the highway scenery. There's little else but desert, dry sandstone-colored rocks, and a few trees. But as soon as you enter an Israeli village or farm, you see green everywhere. There's green, there are trees, there are shrubs, there are orchards. And what's the difference? The difference is irrigation. The difference is the water, which has been spilled on the ground. The water has made the earth fertile. So it might be said of your dear Beth, Beth's life is now like the water spilled on the ground. The world is greener. The world is more beautiful, not just the Michigan State colors, although that's close. All of this is, the world is better for her having lived. She poured out the affection of her heart upon her family and her friends. The well-watered garden of her planting was each and every one of you, and those who will see this. She lavished love on you, and you responded like young plants to water. Beth Ann loved you all very much. She gave of herself. She was born February 16th, 1971 in Sparrow Hospital in East Lansing, Michigan. Her parents, Warren and Margot, of blessed memory. She is survived by her stepmom, Sandy. She is predeceased by her younger brother, Evan. Her father, Warren, was a nuclear physicist at Michigan State University. Her mom, Margot, was a loving, caring mother, a great example, great neighbor, a good neighbor, and a friend to many. Beth graduated East Lansing High School in 1989, and she did some training to become a child care worker. It was a fine fit for her because of her personality. Ali's mom, June, shared last night that I met her when I moved across the street. Our daughter and Beth were in 5th grade. She was an awkward 5th grader, and we didn't see her for many years because after Margot died, the family moved to Cleveland. And then we moved from the neighborhood. And then years later, when we did see her, what a deep and wise young woman. What a wonderful young woman she flowered into. She gave Ali great advice. She was a precious friend and talked with him like an older sister. It's good to have an older sibling, to talk to you lovingly. Honey, sweetheart, be patient with that situation, she would say. She was mature. She was a good friend to Ali. Her mom, Margot, was in some ways really reborn through Beth and Beth's wisdom. She was a great neighbor. When we first moved in, June said, she told us she was very happy to have us as neighbors. And if we didn't have a child for childcare, her mother, Margot, would help us. Margot was humble and had no pretense, and these kinds of characteristics went into Beth as well. As you know, if you knew her, that Evan always had problems, and medical problems and emotional problems, but there he was every morning at our door picking up Ali to walk to school. And when Evan died, Beth was devastated. And then she said to Ali, "You will be my little brother now." As Chris said, there are memories of Jewish food, especially around Passover time. Probably something like gefilte fish. Did you eat gefilte fish?
I can't remember.
That's
I ate
okay.
most of the stuff.
It's a loaf and it's fish. You got to put horseradish in it. It's good.
I can't remember.
It's all right. You don't have to. But anyway, it's sometimes just an acquired taste. And Trish, as you shared, talked about Beth, and Trish remembered that when they were children, 8 years old, they went to a morning program at a synagogue in East Lansing called Kehilat Israel. It was called Hashachar, which means the dawn. It was a morning program for children. And she became bat mitzvah there. Her cousin Cheryl said, when we were kids, Helene, Larry, Andrea, and I, and Beth and Evan, we got together. Our families got together. And then as we grew up, we fell out of touch. Then about 10 years ago, when we came down to Cleveland, we saw each other. We met up in Toledo. And then we connected over the years, a little bit here and a little bit there on Facebook. We all have such fond memories. She was such a good and kind person. As you mentioned also, Chris said she was an absolutely beautiful soul, the other Chris Pollock, an absolutely beautiful soul. She wanted to know how you were feeling, even when she wasn't feeling well. She asked you how you were. She'd been living in Maple Heights about the last 10 years in an apartment complex. She was a child care worker. There have been many, many medical challenges over the years, diagnosed with all sorts of issues. And finally, she passed from a combination of things along with cancer. She's been in and out of the hospital. Her good friends, Ali and Chris, you were the ones on either side. I hope I can share this joke because you mentioned it. Ali said, I was on one side, Chris was on the other. Her two handsome black friends, young men, and I said it was like an Oreo cookie. You were on one side, we were on the other, she was in the middle. And Oreo cookies, by the way, are very good. I mean, I don't eat them the way I did when I was a kid, but, yeah. Oh. And so now for your dear Beth Ann. You told me you razzed her by calling her that. Your dear Beth Ann. There's no more pain or deterioration. There's just rest and wholeness and peace. Her soul is returning to God to be with the souls of her dear parents, brother, the ancestors of our people. And we learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. We will place the body in the ground and escort her body to its final resting place, and her soul returns to God. And one day all of us will be together in Olam Haba, the world to come. Olam Haba is not a place. This is a place. Olam Haba is an entirely spiritual existence, the world to come. We have sent along an old prayer book, a well-prayed from prayer book, and also sent along a Passover Haggadah to remind you of the food. And also that, just as God redeemed our ancestors from Egypt, it's redeeming her soul. And we send along the prayer books. Not only is it a mitzvah to escort the body of your loved one to its final resting place, but also holy books of our tradition. You have many, many memories of Beth. We give thanks to God for this gift of life. 49 years. We would have hoped for many, many, many more. And we would have hoped for them in health. And so she has breathed her last, and it's sad, and she has breathed her last, and she's at peace. So as you think of her, be kind and thoughtful, root for Michigan State no matter what. And help one another and do these things in her loving memory. For only through the deeds which we perform can the world be compensated for her loss. And so we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai natan, Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mavarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And if you can, please rise for the chanting of El Malei Rachamim. If you can. Take your time. Sometimes, look careful. You know what? You can
Watch the sound
You sit. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of Beth Ann Malchman, for you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El male rachamim, shochen bamromim, hametzeh menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, im kedoshim utohorim, kezohar hakiyam asirim, et nishmat Beth Ann Malchman, שהלכה לעולמה, בעל הרחמים, יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Beth Ann Malchman. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. May those who mourn the loss of Beth find comfort in the hope that though the dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit returns to God who gave it. Death is not the end. Those we love have passed through the gateway of the grave into the peace of life eternal. We know that all of us must tread the same path, though we know not when the hour may come. Let us so live that the coming of that hour shall find us unafraid. May our deeds do honor to the memory of our beloved, whom you, O God, have taken to yourself. Trusting in your wisdom and loving kindness, we praise your name with the Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach cherutei v'yamelich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalah v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah muvarach le'olam olam me'al maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha berichu la'elah min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'alma v'imiru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imiru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu va'al kol Yisrael v'imiru amen. In translation, it's a praise of God. Let the glory of God be extolled. Let his great name be hallowed in the world whose creation he willed. May his kingdom soon prevail in our own day, our own lives, and the life of all Israel. And let us say, Amen. Amen. Let his great name be blessed forever and ever. Let the name of the Holy One, blessed be he, be glorified, exalted, and honored, though he is beyond all the praises, songs, and adorations that we can utter. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
For us and for all Israel, may the blessing of peace and the promise of life come true. And let us say, Amen. May he who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, let peace descend on us, on all Israel, and all the world. And let us say, Amen. And now we will place earth upon the casket if you wish. We help escort her body to its final resting place.
Oh, thank you.
It's a religious obligation. You don't have to, but it is a religious obligation. Lech ki shalachcha Adonai. Go your way, for God has called you. Lech v'Adonai yeh imach. Go your way, and may God be with you. V'halach lefanecha tzidkecha. Kevod Adonai yatzlecha. May your righteousness go before you, and may the glory of God receive you. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'tov she'amadei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn Zion and Jerusalem. Let us say Amen. Please carefully come forward. And we will recite the Kaddish prayer for Beth Friday night at our synagogue, Wednesday afternoon at our Hebrew schools, and Sunday morning at Sunday school. And we will do that for an entire month. It'll be our privilege to do so. Wherever, just, yes.
Most people actually just using their hands rather than touching shovel. You know, well, you got gloves on, so
You would think I know because you would think.
kind of the old-fashioned way anyway.
Thank you. Take on yourself. Is there a reason why? Hebrew would be under that prayer. I don't know why it is. But it is very meditative.
No, that's sorry. Anyone else wish to place some earth? We're going to place the last handful of earth for those who weren't able to be with you today, and for those who have gone before. Thank you, everybody, for being here and participating. Services are concluded now. Yes, yes.
I can go home and use my drink.
Right, everybody. Yeah, everybody. You talked to Dee Dee, didn't you? You gave her.
I brought the TV. Okay, so we can just go right to your house.
Okay, you're welcome. Are you going to the grave? Because I'll walk you. You don't have to. I just wanted to give you an extra
You'll call
hand.
my office.
No, I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. My privilege.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'd like to get your sound. I saw that you recorded.
Oh, they do it. Like Berkowitz?
Berkowitz recorded.
Yeah, they record it. Can you make a CD? They'll make CDs. In town?
Especially in this.
They can get that CD. Absolutely.
I just
They've
want
been
to shut
making
this camera
CDs for
off.
years, way before.
Oh, yeah.
Careful,
Watch your
don't-
step right there.
Yeah.
We can just do it all.
Velma,
Well, no, that's
can you help
not
me?
you, him. Yeah.
I need to walk up to the sure ground, not on this uneven ground. I appreciate it.
I just want to turn this off.
Oh, just one.